Hi guys, I'm trying to record on my phone now because I used the webcam. I'm listening to, what's her name? Teal Swan. She's got some videos about spirituality and loving yourself and all that. So I thought I'd try to get some, what do you call it? Get that into my brain. I should play it all night, like I fall asleep, and then I'll hear it as I'm sleeping, and maybe some of it will sink in. Because, my whole life, people have told me I had to love myself, and I really honestly think that I do. But I do catch myself sometimes putting myself down in my head. Like when I'm walking along and I'm like, oh, I'm so stupid or whatever. Like if I did something silly or whatever, or I find that sometimes I chastise myself for dreams. And maybe that's because of disappointments in my life, and so you don't want to allow yourself to get excited about something because shortly after comes the disappointment. So maybe that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to bring myself back to earth, but um, who knows what it is. But I guess I've been doing a little bit too much lately. I've been catching myself because I'm trying to be more conscious of how I treat myself. And I've been catching myself doing that, like, you know, whatever, saying things to myself that are negative. So I have to not do that anymore. I have to try. And maybe I've done it my whole life and I didn't realize I was doing it, but now I'm realizing that I do it. So, but no, I don't think that I dislike myself. I actually think I do love myself, which is why sometimes I wonder, why I can't find a significant other that lasts because I think, I'm so nice, I'm such a nice girl and whatever. so, um, so whatever. I mean, so I'm not listening up. I have to replay that. And, oh, I was going to talk about my Uber experience. So I started driving Uber. Oh, I didn't tell you the latest. So a few weeks ago, I've been looking at cars. I have been looking at cars for a while. Like in my head, I've been dreaming about getting a car. But then I'm thinking, if I get a car, then I have to pay the monthly, Anyway, as it turns out, I had been thinking about it for a while. I've been looking at Fiat G 500 X. And so I went to the Fiat dealership about a month ago. Actually, it's been about a month. Just to look, I told myself. I borrowed my father's car. I went to look, and I walked out like a few hours later with the car. I didn't walk out with a car. I had two cars. I had my father's car, and I had the new car that I have good credit. That's one thing. I don't have a lot of money, but I'm very responsible with paying my bills and not getting into debt. So I had good credit. So I got the so I got the loan, and it's not an extremely expensive car either. And I had a little bit of money saved up for a down payment, but I acted like all this time that I didn't have that money saved up. It wasn't very much, but it was enough for a relatively decent down payment. And so then I had these two cars, and I'm like, how am I going to get home? I was thinking, well, maybe I should drive my father's car, because I told the guy I can't. Well, that's what I ended up doing. To make a long story short, but I was like, first I was thinking, okay, I'll drive my father's car home. I'll take the bus back up here, but it was going to take hours because it was like way in North Miami, and I'm like way in South Miami, so it was going to take two buses, and buses take forever, and it was a Saturday, so they don't run as often, and the guy was like, okay, well, I told him I can't take the car today. I'll have to come back, have someone drive me back here. And he said, hey, no, I'll take you. You drive one car, I'll drive the other. We'll get you there. So, uh, so I ended up making the trip, you know, both cars, I drove my father's car and he drove the new car, the salesperson, because I was thinking I'm on my father's insurance, but he's not. And I told him, you're not on the car insurance either, because I had to buy the insurance, everything right there in the dealership. So it was, took a few hours, this and that and the other. It was a Saturday. But, those car salesmen are good. They they make sure you. And I guess the guy sensed I was on the verge of buying a car, because I really was seriously considering buying the car. And I guess he had enough intuition to sense, look, I'll just give her a little nudge and she'll she'll fall. And that's what happened. He didn't have to nudge much because I was really, but I probably would have come back a week or two later, or who knows. Or maybe, I guess they don't want to lose the sale because I might have thought about it and back down. So, but anyway, I'm very happy with the purchase. I actually can afford it. I mean, well, I can, but it's tight. I have no room, no wiggle room with my part-time job, and even though I don't pay rent, I live at home and all that, but I live at home with my parents. I mean, so I signed up for Uber. You got to send your. It's not easy. I mean, you can't just start driving Uber. You have to send in your driver's license. You scan it, and your registration and your insurance, and you have to take the car to get a safety inspection. Even though it was a brand new car, it needed a safety inspection, which costs that's like $35. And you have to have been driving, have a driver's license for at least 3 years. You can't just get your license and become an Uber. There are some regulations. It's not like how it sounds like, oh, hey, I'm just going to drive Uber. It's not as strict as being a taxi driver. But it's also not as, you can't just pick people up off the street. And anyway, it's been okay. I've only been doing it 2 days. And it's okay. I mean, I haven't been going crazy doing it, but, I like a little bit after work. I have that free time. So just turn on the app on my phone, and you get a beeping noise, and then an address appears. And you go to the address, and sometimes the person will have entered where they're going to, so you just hit the navigate on the on your phone, which connects with the GPS, and then just follow what navigate says. But some of them put a general vicinity, but they don't actually put where they're going. So you do kind of have to know the town you're driving in, because if they don't put the final address, and if they're a tourist from out of town, they're not going to have any idea. They're going to expect you to know. So far it's been okay. So far I've most people have either put in the address or they've asked to go someplace that I know where it is. But I really prefer the GPS because the GPS also knows where the traffic might be bottled up, and so it takes you a different route to avoid the traffic. But anyway, it's been okay. I'm not, the earnings are, I don't know, so far they've been okay also. Like in a day, I didn't drive that many hours. Maybe I was on it depends where you go. Some parts of town are more busier than others. So if you really want to find work, you have to follow the surge, is what they say. That it shows up on the GPS, on the map, parts of town that there's more activity or less activity. And, rush hour, Saturday nights, it gets busier. And they say, I've never driven on a Saturday night, but I'm thinking about doing it this Saturday. And it's a long weekend, so maybe I should just work all weekend and just, get if I can cover the car payment and my insurance, the car insurance, I'll be happy. That's all I want to do. I just cover my car payment and my insurance. Then I'll be like back where I was before, what I'm earning, and the car will be paying for itself, basically. But I got to see. Like today I made $25. Today I had the day off, actually, because they asked me not to come in because I worked extra hours earlier in the week. So I turned it on in the morning, and I wasn't driving the entire time because you don't get a call one after the other, one after the other. At rush hour, I got like 2 calls, and I was just at home, like surfing the internet, and I'm working on a pattern that I'm going to upload for sale at some point. I got to finish it. So Teal Swan's finished talking. I got to listen to that video again. What was I can't remember what I was talking about. I was surfing the internet. Oh, there she is again. Oh, no, it's not over yet. But I'm not listening. I'm going to just block her. Oh, I downloaded Google on my darn computer, my Google Chrome, and I'm using Linux Fedora. And I cannot, and it like blinks too much. Maybe I should just shut it down. I'll just close it. There, I closed the internet. Have the air conditioning on. I'm kind of going in circles here. Okay, so I was going to say, so today I was online on the app for about 5 hours. I wasn't driving around in my car for 5 hours. I was at home, and then whenever I got a call, I would jump in the car and go to the call. So I had about 5 trips, in the general area. Some were about 20 minutes away. And officially, after Uber takes their cut, and remember, I'm using gas, and there's wear and tear on the car, so, you know, I don't know, I didn't use much gas. I have a car that doesn't use much gas, but it still uses. So after Uber took their cut, I made about $17. Now that's not $17 in 5 hours of work. That's $17 where I had the app on and I didn't follow the surge, as they say. I wasn't out actively seeking rides. I just kind of sat at home, did whatever, and a call would come in. I'd jump in the car and go. So, but officially I made 17, but 2 people gave me tips. One guy gave me a $10 tip. I'm like, well, thanks, And another guy gave me a $5 tip. So I actually made $30 for not that. I really didn't feel stressed. It really wasn't much work. It was just driving my car a little ways. So I'm thinking, not, $30. Sure, it's not what I make as secretary, but considering it wasn't very stressful, I didn't really do much. I just sat at home and jumped in the car, Um, I mean, if people tip, I don't know how common it is to tip. Out of the 5 people I drove, 2 of them tipped. So that's all like undeclared. And I guess at some point, the IRS is going to start doing what they do to waiters and expecting that they're going to declare some of their tips, or bellhops also. It's sort of like the IRS knows that they make more than what they officially make. So I think I'm not sure how they do it, but they actually do audit them. I mean, I don't know how they can audit if it's cash, really, but I think they're expected to declare, or they're expected that they make a certain amount over what their official income is. So I bet you with Uber at some point they're going to start doing that too. But so far, I don't think they do. I can't find the thing to turn off the air conditioning because now it's getting cold. So I have to find I have no idea how to turn off the air conditioning without the remote. I can't find the button. Here, I found it. The remote. Anyway, so I would suggest now you have to have a 4-door car, which I did buy, thank goodness, because when I bought it, I didn't know that. But the Uber does not accept 2-door cars. They only accept 4-door cars. And they have to be a certain, they can't be too old. They have to be, I don't remember. I mean, you can look it up if you're interested. But, I mean, I think if you need to make a little extra money, I would probably, it was really easy, I didn't really, now, there's the safety concern that someone gets in your car that you don't know, but it's kind of safe. I mean, you know who, well, I guess there are ways around the safety thing too. For example, today, I got one of the calls was from someone it was a woman's name. So I was expecting a woman to get in the car, and a man got in the car. And I said, this said that I was picking up Colleen. And he said, oh, yeah, that's my wife. So, I mean, this man was a nice man. He didn't do anything. But there are actually ways that the person who gets in the car isn't necessarily the person who called you. So, it's not fail-proof. It could be unsafe, I suppose. But I don't know. Because that's why last Saturday I was thinking of going out Saturday night. Because they say Saturday nights, especially in Miami, imagine everybody's out. So I was thinking about working Saturday, and I kind of chickened out because at that point, I had not gone out yet. And I didn't know how it worked, and I said, I'm not sure I want to do it on a Saturday, on a busy day. I should wait until a slow day to start out. And so I didn't do it, but I'm thinking of doing it this weekend and maybe just take advantage of the long weekend and just try to make as much money as I can. Because one of the people that I took today, one of the other people I took, is an Uber driver in Las Vegas. And he told me, I didn't know he was Uber driver until I dropped him off. That was the one who gave me the $10 tip, actually. So I guess he was he would know that I was a good Uber driver because he's one. But he told me, I don't know, maybe, I guess I should believe him. Why would he lie? He said he makes $1,500 a week. And I assume that's after Uber takes their cut. And he probably does it full time and even does extra hours. He probably does it longer than full time. I mean, to make that much, most likely you have to do it a lot, and really follow the surges. Like you look on your map, you see where supposedly there's a lot of activity. So then you got to go to that part of town and chase the surge. Chase the surge? Yeah, I think that's what they call it. So I didn't do that. I kind of just, whatever. If someone wants to call me, they can call. And most likely that's how I'm going to be using it. Because my goal is just to pay the car payment and the insurance. Oh, some cats are fighting. Oh, my goodness. There are a lot of stray cats. They're sort of feral cats. But did you hear them? Maybe you didn't hear them. Ah, this phone. Yes, the voice recorder on the phone. I got my FireWire, but now I have a problem. The FireWire came, but the end, I guess I need some kind of adapter to plug it into my computer. It's not a USB port on the one end fits into my camera, but the other end doesn't fit into my computer. So now I've got to find the adapter, and I went to Office Max, and the guy at Office Max said, "Oh, we don't sell those here, and that's a really really old kind of connection, and they don't make those anymore." So I'll try Best Buy, and then I think if I can't find, maybe I'll look online, but I'm afraid to order something and then it not be right. Because with the FireWire, I can use the old camera. It's a really good quality video camera, a Sony Handycam from back in the 90s. I could use that and actually make decent videos. But I'm thinking I might just get a camera. That's like, I'm already in debt with the car. So now, I plan my splurges. And this was a big splurge. And it's not a splurge. I actually need a car. I mean, nobody needs a car, I suppose, but it has made my life a little bit easier. I mean, I don't have to ask my dad if I can borrow the car anymore. I just go. I've actually gone out and met people for there was a wine and cheese party, and I went to, because at night I usually don't want to go out, and I met some nice people. It was at a meetup group, but I went swimming at another place, another meetup group that was getting together to go swimming, and I went, and before with my father's car I could have gone also, but I got to go ask my dad to borrow the car. And sometimes my father uses his car too. I mean, it's not like he just lets it sit there just for me to ask him to borrow it. So sometimes I want to go somewhere and I'm about to go ask him to borrow the car, and I realize he's not home because he's gone out in the car. So I started thinking, well, I mean, maybe, it's getting a little frustrating. So I'm feeling that I'm, starting to get more independent. It hasn't been easy. I'm starting to really, and my next thing is I'm going to see if I can get a house, buy a little house. Probably not in Miami because I can't afford anything in Miami unless I go to a really bad part of town. But maybe in a little town outside of Miami, probably kind of far from Miami, actually. But it could be a weekend home, or I could buy it and rent the house, and then I'll have an income to pay for the house itself, or I don't know, maybe a bed and breakfast I was thinking of doing. And I mean, of course, safety's always an issue. Safety, strange people are going to be staying in your house, But I guess as I get older, I'm less concerned about. I'm concerned about safety. I mean, obviously, otherwise I would be living in the bad part of town. But I guess I'm less concerned. I don't know. I guess I'm more eager to get independent than I am thinking so much about safety anymore. So I've been driving. Now that I got the car, I drove to some small, teeny little towns, like one town an hour and a half away, 6,000 people. It was so cute and poor, very poor. And I looked up on the internet, and there's kind of a sort of a high crime rate in that town, but the crimes are mainly property, um, property invasion, not murder, not that kind of crime. It's more property damage and property crimes, or steal, theft. But murder, like one murder in, I don't know if it was the year or over a period of a certain number of years, for reported sexual assaults. Okay, 6,000 people. I don't know if that's a high rate for sexual. Let's assume it was in 1 year. Well, sexual assault, I guess, would be rape. Let's just say it's the worst. It's rape. Um, I don't know if it's the same thing, but so there were four of those. So one murder and four rapes. Say in a year. I'm not really great with math, but is that a high? Is that high? Or I don't know. I guess I could compare to Chicago. Like I would see, I guess here's what we should do. Like Chicago has a super high murder rate. We've got to count how many people live in Chicago, divide it by how many murders there were, and then we'll have a per. Let me do that. I'm going to say murders Chicago. I'm going to Google it right now. Hang on a second. Murders Chicago 2015. We'll take the whole year. And I'll divide it by the population. And then I'll see if it's a high crime rate in the town that I'm talking about. But even so, I mean, one murder, no matter how, well, okay, if there was a town of 5 people and there was one murder, I guess that would be a really high crime rate. So here we go. Chicago. I'm just saying Chicago because I heard in the news that they have a really high crime rate. So I don't know if it's the highest. I think it is the highest murder in the country. When I was living in D.C., D.C. was the highest murder capital of the world. Of the world. That was in the 90s. Chicago 2015 murders. I'm far from the phone. I hope you can hear me. And then the next video I do, hopefully I'll be doing it with a camera that I'm thinking about maybe buying, or I'll see if I can find this Firewire thing. But I really want to do more sewing videos and pattern making videos. I'm getting... Okay. Oh, yeah. Chicago shootings and murders surged in 2015. So it was a really bad year for Chicago. The year-end crime statistics showed that there were 468 murders in Chicago. Okay. So it's increased from the year before. That doesn't matter. So, okay, now. So 468. Now I have to see population. Chicago 2015. Remember that number, 468. I hope I don't forget it. And population, Chicago population in 2015. Now, again, is that Chicago and the suburbs, or is it just Chicago, the city? Let's just say it's Chicago and the suburbs. Okay, there's 2,722,389 residents. So let me get the calculator. That's a lot of people. Yeah, I think probably the murder rate in that little town is higher, right? Because, I mean, it's already millions of... Yeah, I'm terrible at math. Let me just do it. So, the residents of Chicago in 2015 were 2,722,389. I mean, 2 million. Okay, now we're going to divide that. Did we say 468? 468 murders equals... Okay, one murder every 5,817 people. Did I do something wrong? So actually the murder rate in Chicago is higher than the murder rate in the town, because the murder rate in Chicago is for every, let's round it, for every 5,820 people, there was one murder. And the little town I'm talking about moving to is one murder, and there's 6,000 people living there. So that would mean Chicago is more dangerous than the little town. Okay. So, good. So that doesn't mean it's safe, but I mean, one murder, the chances of me being the one person they murder every year, it's very slim. I might get beaten up because I do mouth off a little bit. Not as much as I used to. When I was young, I wouldn't pick fights, but I wouldn't back down. That's the problem. Like if I were getting bullied or something, I wouldn't really back down, and then I'd get slapped in the face or something. But I remember in middle school once, and once in junior high. Gosh, this guy slapped me in the face because I wouldn't back down. And then, oh my gosh, in grammar school I got punched in the stomach, but it was always boys beating me up. I never gotten into a fight with a girl. You'd think, you girl fights and boy fights, but but in grammar school I got punched in the stomach, like a punching bag punch in the stomach. Not one punch. It was like, you know how they punch those little punching bags, the boxers when they're training, they have a little bag hanging from the top, and they just punch you. That's how the guy punched my stomach. Oh my God, I couldn't breathe. I remember to this day, I remember it. I had never been punched so hard in my life. I never felt that way before. I mean, I'd gotten the wind knocked out of me before that, like if you fall and you hit yourself on the chest or something, but I had never, like, oh my gosh, the wind was completely knocked out of me. I couldn't breathe, and I was still trying to act tough. I remember thinking, I'm not going to cry, and I couldn't breathe. And then I just walked away pretending like I was all right. And then I collapsed. My friend was with me. She's like, oh, are you okay? And I collapsed, and when I could finally breathe, I was crying my eyeballs out. Oh, I remember, but I didn't give him the satisfaction of seeing me cry. But anyway, that was grammar school. I was probably third grade. And then in junior high, yeah, I don't remember what. Some kid slapped me in the face because I wouldn't back down. And then one more time I got slapped. But I think it was probably still middle school. Yeah, like after middle school, I never got beaten up by a boy again. Because boys are still learning. I mean, obviously the boys that hit me hadn't learned yet that you're not supposed to hit a girl. I mean, sometimes it is a bit lopsided because girls will beat up guys knowing that the guy's not allowed, in quotes, not allowed to hit back. So it's kind of, we have to teach little girls not to hit boys either. Don't think, oh, just because, you don't know. And it's very, I don't know how I'm getting off on this tangent now. Nobody should hit anybody. But I know women, I have known women to take advantage, knowing, you completely emasculate a man because he's not going to hit you back, and you slap him on the head or whatever, and just whatever. I'm not saying you pummel him, but although that might happen too. I mean, there's domestic abuse. Sometimes the woman is the aggressor, and I'm not saying that's always the case, but probably the statistics are a lot higher than we know because probably men don't report it because there's still a little bit of that stigma that, you're such a wimp, you let a girl beat you up or whatever. So I don't know. I think a lot of cases most likely go unreported. And maybe they should because the guy, maybe he can't always walk away. But I remember when I would argue with my husband, he could not walk away. I would not allow him to. And it wasn't a physical fight, but, it's very easy to tell a man, oh, well, you should have just walked away. I would not allow my husband to walk away. He would go to another room. I would follow him and keep arguing. I mean, that was when things had gotten before the end. And then there was a calm. You know, when I finally gave up on the marriage, we didn't fight anymore. I just stopped fighting. I'm like, screw it. You know, this is not a marriage, so we actually got along the best. I was very sad inside, but the best time where we didn't do any arguing was just before I left him, because it was like I had stopped caring. So, you know, but before that point, when I was still hoping we could work things out or whatever, and I obviously didn't know the way to reach him. We'd been to marriage counseling and all that, but yeah, I would just not let him, because I was following him thinking he has got to discuss this. He can't not discuss this because it's something that we have to, whatever the issue was, you know. And when he tried to walk away because he didn't want to argue, I didn't accept that, because you can't just ignore an issue that's serious. It was my reasoning. Like, it was usually about what he would do with our money, how it all would just disappear, you know. And that's important. We're, in my opinion, our old age is depending on how we manage our money. And him being as irresponsible as he always was and still is, you know, our old age was going to be miserable because we were going to have nothing, and we would be old and we couldn't work anymore. But he didn't understand that. I don't know. And maybe maybe I was, well, somebody said this to me too, said, well, maybe the reason, because maybe I was to the other extreme. So sometimes I do blame myself, because I was like, maybe I should have loosened up a little bit. But a person told me recently, and it kind of made me feel a teeny bit better, but she said, well, the reason you went to that other extreme was maybe because he was to the other extreme. So, you know, if he had been a little more responsible, maybe I would have been a little bit more, I don't want to say irresponsible, but I would have calmed down a little bit about the saving and the scrimping, and we can't use money, and we can't, you know, maybe, I don't know, but it is likely that I would have loosened up a little bit. I wouldn't have been so, you know, because I have always been very, you know, worried about money as far as not getting into debt, and it served me well. It has served me personally by myself well as far as my credit rating. But yeah, I mean, there are things in life that I haven't enjoyed because oh no, I can't spend right now, I have to be careful. And you know, and there are other people that just splurged, got into debt, declared bankruptcy, now they're out. You know, when you declare bankruptcy you know, it's, your problems aren't gone, but your credit is gone. But yeah, your problems are pretty much gone as far as your, but yeah, afterwards it's hard because then you can't get credit. You got to build it up again. But I mean, it's basically, you know, some people live like that. They're like, hey, you know, I had fun, declared bankruptcy, and started over, you know. So I don't know, maybe that's the way to do it. I don't know. Everyone's got to be how they are, but you know, both my parents have always taught us you have to be careful. It's okay to enjoy life, but, you know, think about the future and don't spend too much, and, you know, try not to get into debt, and a little debt is okay, but make sure you know, just whatever, how I am. So, yeah, it does make you not enjoy life as much, maybe, because, you know, sure, I could have bought more stuff. Well, on the other hand, it depends what you value. Like, for example, the car. I could have gotten a fancier, more expensive car. My credit would have allowed me to. Then I'd have to make those monthly payments, though. And, you know, I had to make sure it was a payment that I actually could afford. And, I don't know, someone else maybe get the car until they can't pay anymore, then the car gets repossessed, and hey, well, at least for a while I was driving around in a really fancy car. Or they would lease the car, which is cheaper. I bought the car. That's the thing. If I would have leased this car, it's a 4-year lease. The payments per month are much lower, but at the end, the car isn't yours. You have to give it back, and you have nothing. Which, okay, in a few years, 4 or 5 years, that car is not going to be worth much anyway. So, yeah, maybe I could have leased it, and then you just get a new car. But my plan is to have that car for years and years and years. Even 4 years from now, I'm not planning to trade that in. I'm planning to keep it for, take care of it and make it last. So that's sort of, I think, in a more long-term sense. Um, someone else would say, well, why not lease? You lease it, you have a nice car for 4 years, give it back in 4 years, lease another car. The monthly payments are easy. And I don't see why not. I mean, with a house, it's different because you don't give a house back after 4 years. I mean, you could lease a house. Rent. That's what renting is, actually. But, I mean, it depends on your situation in life. I guess it depends how you think. But my thinking is buy the car because you're not going to, in 4 years, you want to keep having the car and you won't have to make any payments per month. You'll have the car paid off and all you have to pay is the insurance. You won't have to pay even the lease fee, which, even though it's not much, So that's how I was thinking. But I don't know, the lease deals are pretty good too, though. This car would have been nothing per month. I mean, it would be almost undetectable as far as the car payment. Then the insurance would have been the same. So, but it would have been, well, actually, it wouldn't have been much less than what I would have, per month, I'd be paying, because the car is not that expensive, I guess I would be paying about $120 less per month if I would have leased the car, now that I think about it. So, yeah, I'm paying $120 more than I would have paid it, because I'm buying the car. But, I don't know, for some reason it doesn't, I just decided to buy it. I thought about it, because I did think about leasing, and I could have leased a really fancy car for what I'm paying for buying this not so fancy car. But it's a cute car. It's the Fiat 500X. Maybe I'll post a picture. Well, you could, yeah, I'll post a picture, but I'll take one from the internet. Well, maybe I'll take a picture of my own car. But, the one on the internet is brand new. Like, this one already has bird poop on it. I'll wash it. I'm gonna wash it. The car wash is like $3.99. That's not bad. And then I could vacuum it at home, so I don't have to pay for the vacuum. All right. Well, I've been talking a long time. Maybe I'll just upload this. Bye, guys.